A project sprint is a focused, time-bound effort to achieve a specific goal or set of goals within a project. Whether you're working on a software development project or planning an event, a project sprint can help you and your team stay on track, deliver results, and meet deadlines. In this video, we'll discuss what an effective project sprint looks like, the benefits of using a sprint approach, and how to make the most of your sprint. An effective project sprint is a well-planned and well-executed effort to accomplish a specific set of goals within a project. The sprint typically lasts between 1 and 4 weeks, and during this time, the team focuses on completing a set of specific, well-defined tasks. An effective project sprint is characterized by a clear understanding of the project's goals and objectives, a detailed plan outlining the tasks to be completed, a motivated and committed team, and a commitment to continuous improvement. Scrum is a framework that facilitates the development and sustaining of complex products. Scrums are broken down into a series of sprints. Sprints are defined time periods in the Scrum framework of no more than 1 month duration, designed to create consistency in a project. Sprints begin immediately after the previous sprint ends, forming a chain of events that eventually culminates in completing the project at hand. Sprint planning involves setting up the strategies, goals, and timelines for the current sprint. According to the Scrum Guide, sprint planning initiates the sprint by laying out the work to be performed for the sprint. This resulting plan is created by the collaborative work of the entire Scrum team. In simple terms, it's an event within the Scrum framework where the team decides what they're working on during the sprint and what the goals are. Sprint planning must be limited to a maximum of 8 hours for a 1-month sprint. Smaller sprints should require less planning time. The cast of characters in sprint planning meetings include the product owner. The product owner is usually the product's key stakeholder. During the meeting, they describe the highest priority elements to the Scrum team. The product owner should be ready to talk about the product's top 10 priorities and should suggest a sprint goal. The Scrum Master. The Scrum Master is the Scrum team leader, fulfilling the role of a project manager. They ensure the team is adhering to the agile principles and practices. They are the project's champions, responsible for guiding the team and the product owner. The Scrum team. We can't forget these folks because they're the ones who will be doing the work. Outside stakeholders. Scrum teams sometimes invite outsiders who have an interest or stake in the product. However, this rarely occurs. There's something to be said about too many cooks in the kitchen. A sprint cycle is the repeatable process you'll go through every time you manage and plan a sprint. The steps of the process will stay the same. What will change are the insights you learn at the end of a sprint and how you apply them to make the next sprint even more effective. There are 4 stages, also called Scrum ceremonies, that the project manager takes ownership of within each sprint, including sprint planning, check-ins, reviews, and retrospectives. Sprint planning. Setting up a sprint requires proper sprint planning. This is the project manager's chance to decide on objectives and actions for an upcoming sprint. The project manager gathers the team to determine how much work can be completed within one sprint and how it will be completed. This list of objectives is known as the sprint backlog, an important aspect of sprint project management. It's important that there is enough work to fill the time span, but not too much. Not planning enough work can derail the project and lead to budget and timeline overages. Planning too much work can lead to team burnout and missed deadlines. Ideally, your planning should take place in a centralized work management platform like Adobe Workfront. Choose a system that allows you to follow an agile approach to your projects and offers a workboard for hosting sprints and backlog tasks. Daily Scrum, also known as stand-up meetings. Daily Scrum meetings ensure sprints are running on schedule and all team members are in the loop when problems pop up. Sprint stand-ups typically only last 15 minutes and require each team member to discuss what they've accomplished since the last meeting, explain what they'll work on before the next meeting, detail any obstacles that are standing in their way. Daily stand-ups should be quick touch points. If more in-depth meetings are required, they should be scheduled outside of stand-ups. Sprint review. Once a sprint is completed, the project manager hosts a sprint review meeting with all team members and stakeholders to demonstrate sprint outputs, determine what was accomplished and what wasn't, review project forecasts. Untested or incomplete work is not shown. but is instead saved for the next sprint's planning round. Sprint retrospective. The final step in the sprint project management process is the sprint retrospective. This takes place after the sprint review and before the next sprint planning session. This collaborative session allows team members to discuss accomplishments and challenges during the previous sprint so that the process can be altered if needed. The goal is to fix one thing at a time and make small, incremental changes from sprint to sprint. There are several benefits to using a sprint approach for project management. These include focused effort. By breaking down the project into smaller, manageable tasks, a sprint helps the team to focus on what needs to be done and when. Increased efficiency. Sprint planning and daily stand-up meetings ensures that the team stays on track and focused, resulting in increased efficiency. Improved communication. The daily stand-up meetings and regular sprint reviews provide opportunities for team members to communicate and collaborate effectively. Flexibility. Sprints provide a flexible approach to project management that allows for adjustments to be made as needed, ensuring that the project stays on track and meets its goals. The do's and don'ts of sprint. Do. Develop a well-defined backlog where all dependencies and priorities are in order. Ensure that your team understands the sprint goal and how it's going to be measured. This will help keep your team members aligned. Avoid including work where you cannot get the dependencies done. This could include work from another team, for example. Pay attention to your sprint velocity metric and ensure it also includes team meetings and sick leave or annual leave. Use a project management tool to capture and track information about key decisions. This will help to boost transparency and keep the team motivated and aligned. Don't add so many product backlog items that your team will struggle to complete within one sprint. This is just setting up your team for failure and is bad for morale and productivity. Forget to add enough time for Q&A processes and bug fixing. Allow the work to be completed in the sprint undefined or ambiguous. Your team needs to be clear on what they're doing and how. Take on large amounts of high-risk or unknown work. You can leave work for the next sprint, so don't try to bite off more than your team can chew. Ignore feedback, insights, or concerns from your team members. Your team members' insights are likely to be valuable, so don't ignore them. Let your agile sprint become a mini waterfall project. A mini waterfall is when work ends up being phased. Team members work alone and don't collaborate effectively. They end up packing their old habits into a shorter time frame and backloading all of the risk because validation of the work doesn't start until near the end of the sprint period, just as it would in a waterfall. To make the most of your sprint, it's important to define the sprint goal and objectives. The first step is to clearly define the goal and objectives of the sprint. This will help to keep the team focused on what needs to be accomplished. Plan the sprint. Develop a detailed plan outlining the tasks to be completed during the sprint. This plan should include a timeline, milestones, and task assignments. Conduct daily stand-up meetings. Daily stand-up meetings are an essential part of the sprint process. These meetings provide an opportunity for the team to communicate and collaborate effectively. Monitor progress. Monitor progress regularly throughout the sprint to ensure that the team is on track to meet the sprint goals and objectives. Conduct a sprint review. At the end of the sprint, conduct a sprint review to evaluate the team's performance, identify areas for improvement, and celebrate successes. In conclusion, an effective project sprint can help you and your team to stay on track, deliver results, and meet deadlines. By breaking down the project into smaller, manageable tasks and focusing on what needs to be done and when, a sprint approach can increase efficiency, improve communication, and provide a flexible approach to project management. To make the most of your sprint, be sure to clearly define the sprint goal and objectives. Plan the sprint, conduct daily stand-up meetings, monitor progress regularly, and conduct a sprint review. With these best practices in place, you can ensure that your project sprints are effective, efficient, and successful. We hope you've understood the whole concept and able to use these in your own organization. Thanks for watching.